Welcome back, everyone. This is the Academy 172nd TBF-1 Avenger, very much at the heart of the Pacific War. It's not a model or a plane that I see around very much at all, which is a bit of a shame because I do have an interest in them. It's definitely not super detailed. For $20, you're not going to get much, I guess £10 or however that works out in the USA. Like I say, very bare bones. You can see there. Some of it is a bit dubious, I'm not going to lie. I definitely didn't go with the aircrew on this one, and the detailing is absolutely minimal, with a few odd places for ejector pins and so on throughout the kit, as you'll see. Definitely you can sort of see here where I decided that I was not going to do it in flight, obviously with that crew figure and the pretty strange molding for wheels up. I just jumped through and went for the undercarriage. Having said that though, there's really some nice fit. It's on the whole, it's quite a nice kit if you're prepared to accept that almost bare bones modeling or tooling. Here's more of those strange ejector pin marks. If I had used the wacky pilot figure, probably wouldn't be an issue. And definitely say with the gun turret, you can see exactly how bare bones it is. However, having said that, it comes out to be a reasonably nice kit. And I do like these simple kits sometimes, just to take a break from almost being too intense. All the etchings and super detail is really nice, but it just adds a whole extra level of thinking power, I suppose, to put it mildly. The actual mechanics of putting the kit together does make it a little bit difficult in that obviously with that turret having to go in first, it limits your options. You can't come back and say paint that separately later like I normally would with a canopy. And just to reiterate just what a mixture it is, you get almost no detail in some parts, and like I say, the fit there is almost perfect in some ways, but the assembly just adds an extra level of complication. I do like to use these kits to, I'd say, keep my hand in and get a bit of practice. That's definitely one of the advantages, and it does let you experiment a bit at times. I'm coming through with what I'd call US Navy blue. I think they've been using that, 70, 80 years now. It's a standard color, but the problem with doing that US Navy blue is it can look almost too dark, and I think with any solid color scheme in that sense you can get into a problem of almost looks artificial if you just slap it on, I suppose. So what I do try and do is almost, what would I say, varying the depth or thickness of the paint, so it gives it a little bit of a more faded look here and there. As I say, there's the actual molding is really quite good for what it is. It's not something that I would complain about, and I've definitely seen a lot worse. I think the real limitations of this kit tend to be just that there's not a lot of detail, and in fairness, I'm not really sure how you could mechanically do some of the, say, turrets and so on separately. I think that's just a problem with a lot of bombers and that type of aircraft on the whole, especially in the low budget sort of category. So as you can see here, I'm almost trying to vary the intensity of the blue. The canopy I did do some experiments with. There was a bit of hit and miss on that. It's one of those things that sort of annoys me over the years. I dread doing canopies, especially when you get into these type of aircraft where there's a lot. This is the intermediate blue. Again, these are really standard colors, but that also adds what I'd say almost an extra level of difficulty getting something so standard right, and it's not something that I'd actually even say I've mastered. The fit on the whole is very good. The problem with the wing root going in there was just that the cockpit itself had come down a little bit, so you almost need to lever it under and then push down and to get it in. However, the fit, like I reiterate, I suppose, is actually very good. I've had a lot worse over the years. So that's the actual plane coming together. You can see the actual minimal detail in the wheel wells there. And we're back on this intermediate blue because I wasn't really happy with how it was looking. So this is where I suppose you take a bit of artistic license, and I lightened it up. So there's actually almost a three-tone here, the original intermediate blue, and then I was experimenting with essentially an empty paint pot of white, well, a little bit in the bottom, that I come through and made my own lighter intermediate blue. And as I say, this is a good opportunity, or I like to use these cheaper kits almost to switch off and have a bit of fun, but at the same time I do like to take it or use it as an opportunity to do some freehand airbrushing and so on without that pressure of feeling like I'm going to wreck a $200 kit. So you can see here I could have masked it, but I took the opportunity to really just keep my hand in, I suppose, do some freehand with the airbrush. One thing I would also say, the Avengers actually did catch my eye, and I do have an interest in them, or catch my eye is the wrong way to phrase it. But there is a pretty serious video floating around. I will link it in the comments for everyone. I think it's USS Essex, where they buried the gunner at sea because they returned with obviously not much they could do for the guy. I will link it because I think it's important. I do a lot of military models, probably 90%, but I think it's good to keep in mind that obviously these were extremely difficult conditions, extremely brave men and women on all sides, and to keep it in context and not actually forget that there was that reality of it as well. So the Avenger itself, I think, it's definitely something that is on my mind, or has been on my mind ever since I saw that video. So just to get back to the actual build itself, sometimes, especially if it's small parts, I don't like messing around filling up my airbrush for a few drops of paint. So I will use my brush and hand brush when I think it's appropriate, and especially for something like the silver of the wheels, and I think just the actual shock absorbers. I think they're oleo tubes. Oh, that reminds me, do hit that subscribe button and do all the rest. Comments are always good. Interestingly, as I said, I did experiment a bit with it, so I reverse colored the propeller, just did it yellow first and then come back over with the black. And this is me hand brushing what is my go-to for the rubber tires, which is the MIG. There might be others out there, but I have almost these little pet preferences, I think, for which paints I like, and they can be across brands. I obviously use a lot of Mr. Hobby, Mr. Color, and so on, Tamiya, but I really do like the MIG rubber tires. To me, it's just that almost a really neat sort of rubbery look, I suppose. What I'm doing here is some of these small windows, I wasn't really going to, or especially on such a small, inexpensive kit, I wasn't spending a lot of time masking and so on, but I did come back through and just clean off the paint. Works fine. Decals, there's not many of them. I think really half a dozen or so. It was easy enough to put them on. As you can see there, pretty much a no-brainer. So there you go, that's the TBF-1 and Avenger. Like I say, I don't see many of them around, so I did enjoy doing it, and it's a simple kit. It'd be a really nice starter kit. There's a few things there that would be really good if you're just starting out. Mixed tricolour scheme and so on. So as you can see there, it turned out really nice. Yeah, it's a budget kit, but I'd recommend it, and I enjoyed it, and it's a cool aircraft. Thank you again. I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.